Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, March the 15th, 2024. Friday, March the 15th. Yeah, you could, hey, it is what it is, y'all. I took me 2 days for my voice to get this well just to do Friday's recap. Oh my goodness. So let me get through it before I completely lose my voice. Okay, Heather, they found out she has this condition called metallosis, where she had a hip replacement done. We're talking 20 years ago. So that would have made her hip replacement like she was in her 30s or early 40s. Yeah, probably early 40s. So that was quite early to get a hip replacement, but actually it was more than 10 years, right? Um, and the metal from the material that the hip replacement hip was made of is now poisoning her. So they need to completely take out the old hip replacement and completely replace it with a new hip replacement. Um, they've also said soap opera condition, the metal, the poisoning from the metal made her a serial killer, made her a sociopath, complete psycho. Okay. That's how they're going to get Heather out of prison. Come on now. But you know what? It's General Hospital, it's soap operas. We'll buy it, right? We'll buy it. So, anyway, Laura, of all people, has her medical power of attorney in case she can't make decisions for herself. So she's trying to get Laura to help her make this decision. Should she have this hip replacement or not? Because the doctor explained, um, the problems or complications that could happen with any surgery. With any surgery, when you're put under anesthesia, what could happen, folks? Unfortunately, you could have some kind of reaction and not wake up. You just don't wake up. So that's a common, they always have to tell you that when you're going to go under anesthesia. But it's very rare that that happens, but it does happen and can happen. Something could happen during the hip replacement. They cut an artery. I mean, there's complications that can happen. So she's all nervous, don't know what to do. My whole thing is you in agony, agony. It's allegedly poisoning you, making you crazier than you already were. Because Janet, no, oh goodness, I was thinking of all my children, y'all. Janet from Another Planet, because the actress that played Janet from Another Planet and all my children played Heather Weber, the original version, right? So I don't know. Isn't it funny how stuff just comes into your brain? So Heather was always out there. And Laura said, Heather, you've always been out there on the criminal side. She really has. I mean, remember when she was LSDing people and tried to LSD Olivia? Well, she did LSD Olivia. And then when she tried to kill her, she accidentally LSD'd herself, you know? But yeah, she's always been a criminal, a murderer, but I guess they're saying you weren't a serial killer type of murderer. We can blame that on the hip replacement. So let's face it, she's going to have the surgery. She's going to get better. She is going to be released from prison. Laura was actually showing her pictures of Ace because, Laura's the forgiving type. And Ace, let's face it, it wasn't Heather's fault or, we could say it wasn't Heather's fault. The recent stuff. So yeah, she'll let her see Ace, but come on, Nicholas did not get a life sentence. As a matter of fact, I don't recall them ever telling us how long Nicholas was going to be in jail. I don't ever recall them saying, because holding Esme hostage for a first time offender like Nicholas, that should have only got him a year. That's it. Which was also interesting to me why they decided they wanted Kevin, or it was brought up to Kevin and Laura to adopt Ace. Nicholas was not sentenced to any kind of long-term life sentence. I don't get it, y'all. Guardianship should have been all that was necessary, being Ace's legal guardian until his father gets out of jail. I mean, prison. But okay, you know what? Whatever. So, anyway, that's the Heather storyline. Um, Nina, hot mess. She comes in blaring at Alexis, saying, "How could you let this article go out? How could you? How could?" And Alexis is like, "How could I what? I didn't write that gossip column, this piece, you know? Oh no, 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 not that one. The piece on Sunny. Alexis did write that one. Dante got shot, and it really wasn't on Sunny. Dante got shot and blah. Some of the things surrounding. She did a tasteful, not a hatchet job on Sunny, but she reported it, semi-fair. Actually, not semi-fair, more than fair, only because she knows Sunny is father of one of her daughters. Okay. But Nina was like, oh no, we don't ever write anything on Sunny regarding Sunny. That might be, that puts him in a negative light because I'm trying to get back with him. So, you know what, perhaps now that I think about it, I can't remember, did Alexis actually write that piece or did the gossip columnist write the piece? I can't remember, right? And I'm not going to go back and watch it because you know what, who cares? So Alexis is like, oh, I see. So only certain news you want to get out, because she goes, this had a lot of restraint in that article. So then Nina says something else to Alexis, and finally Alexis tells her, you know what, Nina? Oh, Gregory comes in. Gregory's disease is progressing. Of course, we know that. And he's having problems typing. So he's making a lot of typos, and it was just a struggle. And Finn was correcting it, red pencil, doing the correct spelling of the words. And Finn said, Dad, I could retype this for you. It'll only take me 2 minutes. And he goes, well, son, I know you're busy and this will take you longer than 2 minutes. So no, I will just go turn this into Alexis. Because apparently he could turn stuff in like that to Alexis, and Alexis would just redo it, right? And then electronically, because their stuff is electronically submitted. So anyway, he walks into Alexis's office with the paper, and he says, okay, hello, boss, my piece is, and he sees Nina, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in a meeting. And Nina has the nerve. So Gregory walks over to her. He goes, here's, my piece, my submission. And Nina looks and she snatches it out of Gregory's hand and says, why are you giving her a handwritten submission when they're electronically done? And what are all these red correction marks on it? This is so unprofessional. And oh, she just berated him. And Alexis is looking at her. She says, excuse me, you don't talk to my writers that way. Well, I'm just stating a fact. We have a, oh my goodness. And so Alexis says, wait, stop right there. She goes, Gregory. She was getting ready to address Gregory. And he goes, you know what? She is right. This is unprofessional to turn in this way. And he takes it back because now Alexis has it. He takes it back from Alexis and he says, I will retype this and have it properly submitted. And he turns and he's walking away. And Nina's looking like, yeah. And Alexis is like, oh my God. So when he leaves, Alexis tells her, okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's not room for both of us. You're either going to have to go or I'm leaving. And she goes, and Alexis is like, Nina's like, I can't, what did she say? Something about, I can't edit the paper. And Alexis is like, you'll figure it out. Right? Alexis didn't quit, but she told her, you just might have to figure that out. So the gossip columnist wrote a piece on Diane and Robert about what natural red-headed attorney for the mob is in bed with the district attorney. Oh, a little tissy piece. Diane was pissed. So she was gonna come because she told Robert, like, she goes, she's reading her phone and she goes, what? Huh? Why? And Robert's like, well, what's going on? Nothing. So she was at the hospital with Robert. I don't know what they were doing together. And that's when the doctors approached Robert because Robert wanted to haul her off back to Pittenville now. And they're like, no, she's not going anywhere because she still needs medical treatment. And have you guys noticed Robert's voice? It's like something's wrong. Look, I know my voice sounds bad, but his voice has been sounding raspy bad for a good month or more, maybe 2 months now, right? I've noticed it. And he doesn't talk too much anymore. So I hope he's not having a medical issue. So anyway, they get another consult from another doctor, saying that no, hip replacement is going to be necessary. And Robert's like, can't they do that in the infirmary at Pentonville? And they're like, no. That was funny. Because we all know with hip replacements, that's a kind of a lengthy recovery, except on General Hospital, she'll be recovering next week. But anyway, so Robert has to face the fact that she's not going back to Pentonville. So Diane goes to Alexis's office and she is livid. She said, how dare how did you let this happen? Like, how dare you? And Alexis is like, let what happen? And she goes, what natural red-headed attorney for the mob is in bed with, and she's reading the gossip column and she goes, Diane, I have no control over that column. I have told you that. And so Diane is like, yeah, but you're the editor and nothing happens unless you sign off on this. And she goes, I don't really have control over that. That's Nina. Nina is the one who pretty much is okaying the gossip columnist pieces. And so she says, and I pretty much told her, you know what? That if I'm gonna have to be, I have to go. She goes, Diane, if there was any way that I could get back into practicing law, I would drop this like almost like a bad habit. But she was saying, look, I'm gonna have to leave without practicing law. I just got to figure out what can I do next? What am I gonna do next? And so Diane said, I got an idea. She goes, what? She goes, why don't you come work with me? She goes, what do you mean work with me? You want me to be your legal assistant, your receptionist? She goes, no, Alexis, my partner. So Alexis looks at Diane. She goes, there is a little issue like I got disbarred from practicing law, that little issue. And so Diane says, mm-hmm, but I think I have a way to get that overturned. And Alexis looks at her like, huh? Girlfriend, you should have said that a year ago. Really. But you know what? As time passes, it's almost like, look, she served her time, right? So she couldn't have got it, shouldn't have got it returned right away. But now she's been slapped on the wrist. She should be able to practice, right? So good. Alexis is going to be practicing law again, probably within the next 2 months. Excellent. Because now that Nina is involved, Alexis is her whole, she won't let her credibility go down the drain for Nina. She will not. And I agree with her. And now that Gregory came back in and he told Alexis that his piece was electronically corrected and electronically submitted, and it's going to be his final piece for the Invader. And she said, "What? No, not just based on what Nina, Nina said." He goes, "Alexis, it's been fun, but Nina was right. I can no longer submit pieces the way they're done now. I can barely even type." He says, "It's just gotten to the point to where I can't do this job anymore. So this piece is my final piece, my last and final piece," right? So Alexis, she understood. She wasn't happy, but she understood. And now that Gregory's leaving, there is no real reason for Alexis to still be at the Invader and not be in charge of the Invader. Because see, when Sean owned it, yeah, that was like she owned it. Didn't matter, right? So now good, get her out of there. Let Nina let it crash and burn and turn right back into the rag sheet that it was before. Good. So that's gonna happen. So then it showed Finn reaching out to one of his friends, and it's obviously a friend, probably with doctors with borders, because he goes, "Where did they send you to this time?" And he goes, "I know you're busy and blah blah blah." And he was saying that his father has advanced ALS, and he just wanted to talk to his friend about it, but his friend was really really busy and had to go. And so Finn says, "No, look, I understand. I'm calling out the blue. You know, um, thanks for even taking my call." So good. Finn is at least now reaching out to get more information, to get some answers, maybe get some help. And now we probably can get into Gregory being saved. So we have Portia. Portia had a call in, I think, to a hospital staff where the other doctor was working, just trying to get some information. She goes, "I know he's retired, but I just need some information from one of his old cases. I need a quick consult, from him if I could find out where he's at, see if he remembers, and blah, blah, blah." And whoever it was going to look into it. And Portia said, "You can call me back at this number." So Portia then had to leave the nurse's station to deal with the Heather situation. And Gladys told her, "Look, I'll take over for you on this." And I'm thinking, how are you going to take over for her? Well, here's how um, Stella, I said Gladys, here's how Stella took over for Portia. The phone rang, and she says, "This is Dr. Robinson," right? Oh, we doing that now? We doing that now? God. I mean, for one, the phone rings. How did you know that was the call that Portia was waiting on? That's what I want to know. How did she know? And she didn't even say General Hospital, right? She just picked up, this is Portia Robinson. And they give her the information. And she says, "Thank you for getting back to me." And her face changed. And she hung up. And then she saw Kevin Collins walking by to go to his office. And she's just looking at Kevin. And I thought, I know Kevin wasn't that doctor, because Kevin would have been way too, you know what I'm saying? But she went up to Kevin's office and asked, could she speak to him real quick, about a psychiatrist or psychologist, I think it's psychologist, like whatever. You may or may not know, but just perhaps have you heard of him? And she said the doctor's name. And Kevin looked at her and said, "The infamous Dr. Blah, blah, blah." Absolutely, I'm familiar with him. So apparently that doctor uh, had a lot of controversy behind him. So Stella goes down to Marshall and Curtis, and excuse me, y'all. She tells them that the call came back. She got some news, and she told them that Dr. Blah, 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 he's dead. And they were like, oh. She goes, because she goes, "I've got good news and bad news." And they said, "What? Well, what's the bad news?" "Dr. So-and-so is dead." And they're like, "Well, what could be the good news?" "The answers you seek are upstairs working right here in this hospital." So then they show Marshall, Curtis, and Stella in Kevin's office, and talking about my misdiagnosis. And I just want to know, why would somebody misdiagnose me? For what reason? This Marshall, right? And Kevin says, "Well, because you were poor, because you were black, and because you were male." And Marshall looked at him. So I guess Kevin is going to tell him, "Oh, yeah, this guy had a history. I maybe complaints of misdiagnoses or bad diagnoses, or, just wrongly, well, misdiagnosis, I'm going to say wrongly diagnosis, that's misdiagnosing minorities." So we'll hear more about that. But at least the one good thing, everybody, is we're not going to have to go through months of a whole misdiagnosis story like that. Oh my God, I don't want to see that. So now we have Joss and Dex. She still felt that because they hit the sheets, she still loves her, he loves him, then no, she ain't got to go nowhere. That Carly could talk to Sonny. And Dex is like, "No, I mean," he goes, what did he say? He feels differently about Sonny now. And I'm trying to figure out, how could you feel differently about Sonny, Dex? Sonny hasn't done anything to you except find out you were a double agent. And he should be mad and upset. And you're lucky he didn't kill you. So what now has made you look at Sonny differently? You didn't look at him differently when he wanted you to kill Cyrus. You look at him differently then. You're gonna do it, boss, right? But anyway, he says, "No, I can't risk it." So she goes, "Can't or won't." Sounds like, Joss, fast forward, fast forward. Then there's a knock at the door. It is Nina. And Jocelyn is like, "What on earth could you possibly want?" And she goes, "I want to speak to Dex. Is Dex here?" So Jocelyn is like I said, What could you want? And so she says, I need, like I said, I need to speak to Dex. Is he here? So Jocelyn says, I don't know. Are you here, Dex? And so Dex steps around and she goes, I need you to get a message to Sonny because Sonny won't take any of my calls. She goes, okay, that's a you issue, right? That's not a Dex issue. This is Jocelyn, right? And so she goes, Dex works for Sonny and he could get the message to Sonny for me. Well, see, here's the thing. Let's say Dex did still work for Sonny. Let's say that. Want to know what the next thing out of my mouth? Dex should be, remember, Miss Reeves? I told you I care about your well being as long as the boss cares about your well being. And since obviously the boss doesn't care about your well being anymore, I give no messages. See, how dare Nina think his employee that she could command enough of his employee to have him jeopardize his job for her? See, but you know what was so outlandish about that? When Nina knocked on his door, I was like, how the heck does she know where Dex lives? How'd that happen, everybody? She shouldn't have known where Dex lived. See, another writing thing. Okay. And so she looked, as she's looking in Dex's apartment, what is that? What are you doing? Where are you going? And Jocelyn says, again, none of your business. But Dex won't be given any information to Sonny because Dex no longer works for Sonny. And Nina goes, oh, so Sonny fired you. Or so Sonny got rid of you. Oh. And then she looked at Jocelyn and she goes, so if Sonny got rid of Dex, next Dex is getting ready to get rid of you. And Jocelyn looks at her and she looks at Nina. She goes, you know what? This conversation is over. Something Jocelyn snapped back at her with. And then Nina says, well, you don't know your boyfriend as much as you think you know him. How about you asked him how I saw him coming out of Cyrus Renault's room with an orderly uniform on? And Jocelyn looks at Dex, and Dex looks at Jocelyn. See, Nina, you show up at someone's house and then you do and say the things that you do, right? Did she even, if Jocelyn wasn't there, did she think she would be able to say, I'll tell Sonny you were in Cyrus Renault's room? Well, heck, who do you think sent him? So see, you can't blackmail Dex on that. As a matter of fact, the one that had a problem being in Cyrus's room was when Dex told Sonny Nina was in there. Because see, Sonny didn't know she was in there. And then, as she said what she said to Joss about Dex, Dex should have turned around and said, yeah, but you know what? Miss Reeves was in Cyrus Renault's room. Why is that, Miss Reeves? What business did you have with Mr. Renault? See, that's how you turn the tables on Nina. That's how you do that. So we shall see what happens with the end of that conversation, because here's the thing. Although Dex doesn't like to lie or doesn't lie to Jocelyn, it would be, yes, I was in an orderly uniform. because the boss wanted me to keep a close eye on Cyrus. And that's what I was doing. See, there's your answer. Nice little bow. Sounds good. Because Nina don't know what Dex was doing in there. She does not know. So that answer would be the feel good answer. But watch, Dex is gonna, after Nina leaves, tell Jocelyn, no, get out of here. Jocelyn don't need to know that. But anyway, everybody, that's it for the daily recap for Friday. Still not well enough to do Comic Corner. Thank you, everybody, for all the well wishes. And thank you so much for just the interaction. Y'all don't need daily recap lady to read Comic Corner. Although I do miss reading reading it aloud because I read Comic Corner. But anyway, thank you so much. I'll be back Monday tomorrow because look, it took me 2 days to get myself right enough to do this. So I'll be back tomorrow with another daily recap of General Hospital.